Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm your host, Dilly of Panic Gaming, and welcome back to the Panic Gaming channel. Now, today we got a pretty interesting video headed your way. Got a couple, Shaman gameplay. Recently bought a emote with Shaman, the tantrum emote. I think it's pretty cool, so I'm going to be hitting it, like, now, through all this different, gameplay every now and then, and it's always been my, one of my favorite not executions, but emotes when it comes to the Viking heroes. But yeah, that's just me. But anyway, today we have a story for you guys. And before I begin this story, I have one more thing to add. I am sorry. I need to get it out of the way in the very beginning, but sometimes I just don't think right. But anyway, in like a week, school's gonna be starting up again, and honestly, like, people are like, oh, well, I mean, if you got school, man, like, you're not gonna be able to upload or anything like that, which is not true, actually. When me and Trey have school, because we go to the same school, when me and Trey have school, it honestly helps us, because it gives us sort of a schedule, and it gives some sort of structure for us to go off by. Like, what are you gonna do when you get home? Oh, I'm gonna go home, do my chores or clean the house or whatever I have to do, and then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna upload. See, it kind of, I hate to admit it, but it kind of puts a boot in our ass on just being like, hey, you need to upload, get it done. It doesn't add anything extra. And not only that, I'm a fan of fall. Fall is my favorite time of year, and it's coming very quick. So yeah, I am ready for that. But anyway, we're going to start the story off, and this story takes place in New York, most notably in Rome, New York, which is, if you don't know where Rome, New York is, it's in central New York in the mountains. I think they call it the Adirondacks Mountains, I think that's what they call it. But so basically what happened is there was a day where we were having a cookout. And this big cookout had the whole family there. I'm talking about in New York, on my mom's side, there's a shit ton of family. There's like 4 different families that are all combined to make one. And they all come to this cookout at this campground that we're, staying at. So I get to see all the family, and everything's fine and dandy throughout the day. Everything's cool. Everything's had, chill, no issues. Having a fun time with, of course, Photobomb9251, which is my cousin. And, me and him hanging out. That's usually what we do. And we're enjoying ourselves. Everything's fine. And then, night falls. Now, when night falls, it kind of gets weird because it's really, really dark. And, like, everybody's like, alright, well, let's start a fire, and we need to get, near these fire pits. And there's, like, campers and stuff like that. And outside the camper, they have their individual fire pits, and there'd be, like, groups of, like, 10. And they would all sit around a certain fire pit. Well, I got stuck in a group with one of my cousins, my uncle, which is Photobomb9251's dad, Photobomb, and a couple of other people. I'm not too sure. I didn't know who they were. I just know they lived at the campground, where I guess we're really good friends with my cousin. Well, I remember in the introduction part when we were meeting these people, one of the guys' names was Dylan O'Brien. First name Dylan, last name O'Brien. And my name is Dylan, for those who don't know, Dilly of Panic Gaming, Dylan. And I guess this dude, okay, first, I think I should start off with, this dude was obviously drunk, alright? There was no, you could be drunk yourself and tell that this guy was drunk, okay? He was very drunk. And I remember I walk up to him, and I'm like, good to meet you. He's like, it's good to meet you too, he sat down, and like, 10 minutes later, I'm sitting there. And I'm just chilling, having a good time, talking with a couple of the people right next to the fire, having just, regular day. And then, the dude looks at me and goes, hey, you. And I'm like, well, that's not how he sounded. He sounded kind of like this, you know. He talked with his throat. Obviously, I don't know if he smoked or not, but you know, he sounded like that. So he was like, "Hey, you," and I was like, "Hey," and he was like, "You're my son." And I was like, "Wait, whoa, hold on, what?" He was like, "That's what I hear." And I was like, "I'm your son?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay, well, how are you doing, Dad?" And you know, we go back and forth in this whole conversation where I'm pretending he's my dad and we're talking about like normal stuff. Like he's talking about putting me through college, he's talking about all this different stuff. Well, he brings up, you know, he said, "You know, when I was your age, I was a gymnast." And this dude, I'm not gonna lie, he wasn't skinny. He was a pretty big dude. So I was like, "You were a gymnast? Are you sure you weren't like a weightlifter?" Like, you know, I mean, I sometimes weightlift, and I'm a pretty big guy as well. So like, are you sure you weren't a weightlifter and not a gymnast? And he was like, "No, I was a gymnast. I knew how to do cartwheels, somersaults, backflips, all that different stuff." And I was like, "Oh, really?" He was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Son, I want to see you do a cartwheel right now." And like I said before, I'm a bigger guy. You know, I'm by no means skinny. So I'm like, you know, I can actually get something out of this. And I start thinking about it. And I'm like, "All right, Dad. You want me to do a cartwheel, right?" "Yeah, of course I want you to do a cartwheel, son." "Okay. I'm a little nervous, though. So if you do one, Dad, it will encourage me to do one." This is the funny part, okay? So this guy is drunk. Very, very drunk. He's like, "Alright then, I'll do a cartwheel, and if I do one, you gotta do one." You know, he puts on that whole mumble talk because he's drunk. So he stands up and he tries to do a cartwheel. Instead of doing a cartwheel, before he could even bring his body around, like his legs around, like over his body, he falls flat. Boom! Right into the dirt. Face plants. There's dirt up his nose. He pops right up like he didn't get hurt. He pops right up. Everything's fine. He's like, "All right, son, your turn." And I'm like, uh-oh. So I get up, and I know I can't do a cartwheel once again because I'm a bigger dude. But at the same time, I'm still gonna try it. So I get up, I walk over to where he was, shake his hand, and then I go ahead and attempt a cartwheel. Now, I have no idea, but I remember one thing. I know I didn't do it right. I know I didn't bring my legs above my head, or above my body or whatever, but I still landed it. Dude runs up to me, hugs me, and is like, "I'm proud of you, son." You know, he's drunk, okay? So he was like, "I'm so proud of you, son. I'm going to put you through college." And I was like, "You're going to put me through college, Dad, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, absolutely." And I was like, "Well, what do you want me to do in college?" And he was like, "I want you to do exactly what you just did, be a gymnast." And I was like, "All right, Dad. That's what you want. That's what you want." And that's how that ended off. After that, a little bit later, I talked to some girls. Got one of their Snapchats. Still haven't heard back from them. Oh God, it happens. But and then after that, I went to my cabin. Me and Photobomb 9251. We sat there and watched memes for an hour or two on Instagram, and then went to bed. So yeah, that was the story about the time I found out I had a dad in New York. Apparently, and I don't know. I don't even know this guy. I don't know. I thought this story belonged. It was a pretty funny experience because at first he told me to sit on his lap, and I remember looking at my uncle and I was like, "Yo, help me." And then my uncle was like, "Nah, go sit on your dad's lap," just fucking with me, busting my balls. It was funny though. It was a very funny experience, and I'm telling you, dude, Only in New York, man. But like I said, anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I'm your host, once again, Dilly Panda Gaming. By the way, this Friday, me and Photobomb9251 are going to a Five Finger Death Punch concert. If you don't know who they are, they're like a heavy metal band, obviously. And I'm gonna be putting, stories on Snapchat and whatnot. So, by all means, if you guys want to add my Snapchat, go ahead. I'll put the username on screen. I'll most likely follow you back. But anyway, whatever the case may be, my name is Dilly Panda Gaming. I hope you enjoyed this story video. Maybe we'll do more if more crazy experiences happen to me. But once again, I'll see you guys in the next one. Deuces.